Hi, thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about how Tonking helps to automate and manage tail spend for procurement organizations and large businesses. We're going to talk about how Tonking allows you to give a great experience to your end user, which helps you to enforce process, which helps you enforce good buying habits, so that decisions can be made and procurement is able to own their own workflow, a workflow that seamlessly integrates into their existing tool set so that they don't have to replace all their current systems of record in order to get this great value out of Tonking. But why are we doing this? So what is this solving? You see, in many procurement organizations, this is a lot of times what the user experience looks like. That yes, there's a process that we want them to follow, but if it is difficult to find, difficult to get into, difficult to understand, well, we're going to choose the path of least resistance. If I want to look up the score of a Steelers game, if I'm a super fan, maybe I have their app installed on my phone to look it up quickly. And if I'm not, I'm just going to go to Google and ask, because that's my path of least resistance. And your end users are the same. It's not necessarily malicious. It's not necessarily that they want to go around your process, but they don't know your process. And so we need to help guide them and give them experience that seamlessly integrates into the tools that they're already using so that we can enforce this process, so that we can have better visibility and better management of our spend. You see, in many companies, we're looking at about 80% of the total spend being from rogue spending. And this is really what Tonking is helping procurement organizations in general to address. By giving a better user experience, wrapping around your current tool set, and directing people to the appropriate process seamlessly, we ensure that processes begin to get followed, that records are kept, that systems are kept up to date, and that people are brought in for only the most important requests. If that sounds too good to be true, let's dig into it. You see, Tonking is an integration platform that allows for really robust forms to be used, but to be surfaced in all sorts of different places. It also allows you to integrate both your internal procurement systems and other business unit systems and teams into the workflow, so that the pieces of your organization that are working, that are automated today, we can continue to leverage and help you get more value out of, while layering on this level of visibility across the larger workflow. How did the work get to Coupa or Ariba or NetSuite? Where did the work go after it was done in Coupa, Ariba, or NetSuite? How did we involve InfoSec? How did we involve third-party risk? Well, it all starts with intake. You see, we're an intake, triage, and coordination solution. Those are the types of workflows that Tonking is designed for, so that you can intake requests from users or other business units directly from Slack, directly from email, directly from forums. Tonking will show you in real time how they are being categorized, how they are being filtered, what sort of sourcing professional we're aligning to them, what sort of category manager, asking the appropriate questions, conditional questions that help us get the end user to that right source, so that you can now measure and understand how is work coming into procurement, something that's typically invisible today, especially if a lot of your requests are coming from email. Then once it's on, we can create backlogs and we can triage this work. We can look up information from other systems that you have to enrich these requests, show you unassigned and assigned work, both in individual small team levels like this or in much larger backlogs with entire departments. Today, though, we're really focused on tail spend. So often when people think of procurement, they think of something like, engaging a third-party supplier, onboarding a new software vendor, something that's going to cost six figures, is going to require a lot of contract reviews, and is going to involve a lot of different departments. We absolutely do that, and I encourage you to check out our other videos involving guided buying, or intake to contract, we often call it, and how we guide your requesters through that process and seamlessly hand off the request between business units, even doing workflow steps in parallel between different business units. But when it comes to tail spend, now we're focused on those smaller purchases, something like swag. What I'm going to show you today is something that we have templatized that we can deliver to multiple different clients, but it is designed to be edited and owned by you. We are a no-code platform, which means we are putting the process, the workflow, into the hands of the procurement operations professional so that they can manage this workflow, so that they can edit it and own it and not rely on IT, not rely on services partners to create custom code, which often leads to technical debt to integrate these systems together. We'll integrate to one source, Tonking. We'll allow Tonking to orchestrate via API all of our different systems, to give IT full control over those integrations so that procurement can build and own this. I'll show you what that looks like in just a bit. So if we take a typical tailspend request type like swag, I am betting that you probably have several asset catalogs around your organization, several different ways to do things. And this is common across departments. If you're in HR, yes, you probably have your HR portal, but you also probably have a different portal or a different place where you need to request PTO. And all of these different tools for benefits and finance and HR services that need to be delivered. Procurement has the same thing. Why is automating tailspend hard? Because there's so many ways it could get done and so many preferred paths for each type of request. So how can we help you to understand the risk of the request, the impact of the request, and get it appropriately cataloged to the right process? Well, first of all, we can stand up a portal like this one that can be used both for reporting for your procurement team and as an FAQ and help channel for your requesters, so that all of these visuals you can configure, embed videos and images and workflows, and help inform and educate your customers, your end users, whoever they are, when they come to make a request to procurement. That's step one. But let's say they don't follow this process. Let's say they go straight to Slack. Well, we can do things like monitor Slack channels so that if they come in and request something like swag or they want to make a small purchase, we can direct them to the appropriate catalog. Tonking is not a chatbot. We monitor APIs so that I already showed you all of the intake channels. No matter how this request is coming in, I can show your procurement team visibility into what requests are coming and where they're being sent. And I, as the end user, now don't have to try and remember your bookmark or remember how to interact with procurement or reach out and ask. It is intuitive. I'm naturally directed to it. And so let's go ahead and log a swag request. This conditional form engine built on top of Tonking is really powerful in so many ways. First of all, we can direct people to it from a variety of channels. Second, if you already have forms that your end users like they're using, you've built SharePoint forms, you've built Google forms, you've built ServiceNow forms, and you don't want to change that, fine. We can actually monitor them via API so that when the request is entered, Tonking can take that request and perform a bunch of actions based on it. You see, Tonking is a when-do workflow engine, meaning when some work comes in this case a form is filled, do all of these actions. But that could just as easily be when the shipping order is created in ServiceNow. What do we want to do? Well, we could wait in this workflow and we could say, you know what, when that ServiceNow ticket is completed, then communicate back to the end user. This is not just a UI builder right here. This is real. This is workflow on Tonking. And because it's no code, it allows you to monitor requests in other systems, to be stateful or to wait to monitor them and watch them for certain activities, and then continue your workflow, continue communicating with the user in their preferred channel. And so that even though this workflow is moving across system and across communication channels, it is still one Tonking workflow that we can report on and we can measure. So when I enter this, whenever I choose from my catalog, again, this may be directing me to the appropriate catalog. And what this means is I can ask a series of questions here in Tonking, and because it's an integrated platform, all of these responses could go to the appropriate platform so that your end user doesn't have to go fill in multiple forms to log this request. Let's say that I'm in marketing and I have a marketing event coming up. Great. We can auto approve that. We could even reach directly out to your manager or check in Workday to see what your role is and validate that this person has the authority for auto approval for this swag purchase. But let's say that I am a sales executive and I'm trying to sell it to a new customer. Okay, well then maybe in that case we do want to do an approval. So what type of merchandise are they going to buy? I can select from the list. And you have full control over what questions we ask here and we don't. You can absolutely simplify this. But I can now also present to them a list of accounts directly out of their Salesforce and say, oh, okay, Mr. Account Executive, I know who you are. I don't have to ask. Tonking knows who the user is. We can look up their name, their email, and use that to look up information about them. For instance, what accounts are you associated with in Salesforce? Well, let's put that in this dropdown to avoid manually typing in words, to avoid making a mistake in exactly which customer this gets sent to. So great experience for me as the sales rep, because now I have to enter just the minimum amount of information. I can give them a reason. Again, feel free to add to this list of questions or take away. How many people are going to receive swag? And of course, the delivery method. Is this an event that we need it shipped to? Do we want to send it directly to the account executive so they can give it in person? Are they just going to pick it up from a stock room at our office? In this case, I'm going to ship it to the customer. And again, maybe this is now a whole nother system that we're interacting with, but Tonking is simplifying the form experience and enforcing best practice so that just by entering these questions, Tonking can do things like make sure my counts are all accurate to what I entered for the number of recipients, and then logging the request with shipping, logging it with the stockroom, logging it with my procurement team and my financial teams. It looks up this information about the customer from my underlying system so that I don't have to re-enter it, and I can give it a shipping recipient. And any other additional comments that I need to make. Now at this point, how this approval happens is completely up to you. If you have a system of record that runs all of your approvals, great, let's use that, let's log it there. But if we wanted to do something simple like an approval is an action, it's not specific to any particular platform. And if you don't have a way to do this kind of smart approving and communication, we can absolutely do it for you. You see, Tonking's workflow allows you to do things like ask questions to a group of users in their preferred channel and provide buttons for them to click and action upon. So if your procurement team likes to work out of Slack or likes to work out of Microsoft Teams, that's completely fine. I can direct them, I can send a targeted message to their preferred Slack channel or DM them and say, hey, new request. Would you like to assign it to yourself? Otherwise it will be auto-assigned in the next 2 hours. I'll assign it to myself. I can view the request details, just like the end user has their unique interface into their request, their pizza tracker, if you will. I can view that as well and have my own. And I can even approve this request directly from Slack. Now, if you don't want to do it this way, if you'd prefer that you have your own backlog like I showed earlier, you can absolutely do that. And your team can see all of the work coming in, how it's categorized, and who's working on it and where it is. As the end user, now I don't have to reach out and ask, where's my request? What team is it with? I can see all of these actions being taken roll up to my overall status. I can update any information if I need to, and you can absolutely lock this down as well so that they can't update it. And I can provide any sort of comments and track the timeline of this request. In this way, we've directed the user to the appropriate channel, asked them the appropriate questions, and then updated all the systems of record that need to be updated. I've even communicated with my procurement team in the same way to make this as efficient and seamless as possible, while still maintaining that end-to-end visibility and enforcing the process so that I can avoid this and instead I can give us all the desired experience that we want to have. You see, Tonking allows you to adopt process and workflows very, very quickly and very easily by integrating your current tool sets and working where you want to work. Because it's no code, it means that you can own this yourself and you don't have to go and develop a bunch of custom coding and create a bunch of technical debt. It gives you an integration strategy so that this is a platform that will grow with you, as opposed to an individual solution to an individual problem that's only going to solve the problem for now and not solve the problems of tomorrow. Tonking is designed to give procurement teams a way to manage and delight their end users by wrapping around their current tool set and then provide them a way to iterate on it and maintain it over the future. So we would love to talk with you some more. We would love to talk about your unique processes and all that Tonking can do for you. I hope that we get to chat again soon. Thank you.